All right, I'm on. Hey, everybody. I'm Debbie Levitt. This is, I know it says fitting UX into Agile and Agile into UX, but I like to call it improving DevOps results by correctly integrating UX. And again, I'm Debbie Levitt. I've been a UX strategist, designer, consultant, speaker, and trainer since the mid-90s. Who remembers the mid-90s? Thank you, people of a certain age. Good. Some of my jokes might fly. P-Type, short for prototype, is my full-service UX and design agency. Can't fool you, I am American, but I'm now located in Italy, so I like to say, come visit me and write it off as a business trip. We also help, in addition to UX work, we also help people build UX teams and improve their internal processes. So come talk to me about anything. And clients like to call me Mary Poppins because I fly in, fix everything, sing a few songs, and fly away, though I would prefer to stay on and keep doing UX things. Now, this session boils my 2-day DevOps ICU workshop down to 30 minutes. So this is the minimum viable presentation. That means I probably won't have time for questions, but I'm using the Menti system, so at any point you're welcome to ask a question going to menti.com, and there's a number up on the bottom of every slide, 88752. Ask a question, put your email address in there, and if I don't catch you the rest of the day here, I promise to email you a friendly answer to any question. So that's that. Obviously, please tweet. I consider my presentation very tweetable. And in fact, to help you on slides where I've got words and bullet points, you will see this symbol appear, the camera, which means my bullet points are done loading, and it's a good time to take a picture. That's UX for you. I'm thinking about you. So I'm going to jump in, and so that was the housekeeping. So at many companies, engineering is fed by other teams. Blueprints, ideas, designs, and concepts, they come from somebody who made layouts, flows, and how the customer interacts with this system. These are non-engineering individuals and teams who are part of collaboration throughout software development. Engineering doesn't operate in a vacuum. But too many companies are excluding or circumventing UX because they see it excluded from their agile maps, books, infographics, and training. Or they assume UX are just time and budget wasters, or UX just draws wireframes on a page and anybody can do that. Wrong. Expert UX architects research, design, test, and iterate on everything between someone saying, I have an idea, and let's get it to some developers to be built. DevOps is about so much more than how developers connect with IT, how infrastructure is managed, and how frameworks can be improved. It's about recognizing how many teams are truly involved in software development, how intertwined their roles are, and finding better ways to make sure everybody's at the table. Developers and engineering architects want to be involved when product and creative teams are designing the software or system, but where's that in the current definition of DevOps? And product, UX, and creative teams want to stay involved during development, engineering, and testing, but so many methodologies exclude them. These are old silos that we need to break down. All your customer sees is your user experience. That's it. They don't see 1,000 developers or agile or lean or waterfall. And you're a user too. The software and systems that you chose have competitors. What made you select the tools and apps and systems that you chose? And when you're using a system you don't like, are you thinking, I wonder how many sprints this took? No, you're not. When something doesn't work the way you expect it to, you're probably thinking, who built this piece of junk? And that's a good question. Who designed this product? Who researched with users like you to learn your habits, motivations, needs, and then design for those? And was this tested on you or humans before it was unleashed on the public? UX is driven by some of the same results that DevOps wants. We're problem finders, problem solvers, customer advocates, driven by product quality and building what customers really need. We care about our teams working efficiently and getting engaging, fantastic, easy to learn, easy to use, tell your friends it's great, products to market as fast as possible. Enhancing this relationship saves time, money, and sanity. Who knows what UX is? Anybody? 3 hands up. So, okay, that's why I'm here. So, user experience is the more scientific, psychological, and problem-solving side of product experience and service design. Our goals include happier, more loyal customers, ease of learning and use, shorter, more intuitive processes, and accessibility for people with mobility, vision, hearing, or other issues. Quick word about accessibility. This was an American football game that was on TV about 2 years ago, and Nike decided to get creative with normal team uniforms and instead put one team in all red and one team in all green. This was unfortunate for people who were red-green colorblind, for whom the game looked like this. And many tweeted, even including ex-football players tweeted, "I can't follow this game. I have no idea what's going on. I don't know who these people are." And Nike caught a lot of backlash at the time. But my point in showing this is to remind you, if you thought UX just drew boxes on a page, A, we don't, and B, part of what we do is having to take differently abled people into account when designing interfaces. Just like software has processes like Agile, UX has one key approach that we should and do use, user-centered design. Now, we've got a short session here, so I can't really go through all of these, but I want to give you some high notes here. This can be a long process that takes a lot of time, or sometimes we're just doing pieces of this and we can move very quickly. So when UX gets requirements and other project information, it's important that UX collaborate right away with developers and engineering. We don't want to find out later that UX designed something that you guys can't build. And among that early project discovery work, UX should work with engineering to learn about the technologies being used, any boundaries or limitations, if we have all the services or API calls we need, or if we're going to have to write some new ones. Research is an important piece of what UX does. It's not user-centered without users. Please go back and say that to everyone you work with. Statistics and quantitative data are great, but there's just no substitute for interviewing users, deeply understanding them, and getting qualitative data. UX doesn't just want to know what, we want to know why. Information architecture has to do with hierarchies, structures, and taxonomies. This could be site navigation, or it could be something like the structure of a database that might be used for e-commerce items. So obviously you're building the architectural structure, but we might come up with the concepts of how items for sale could be organized so they're logical to users. Interaction design is what most of you think of when you're thinking UX. These are our wireframes and prototypes, the blueprints of our designs. These would show process flows, layouts, menus, interactions, paths, choices, and so much more. But wait, there's more. Now it goes to user testing, which happens during our process and before engineering writes a line of code. We need to make sure the idea and its execution are right for our target customers. We don't want engineering to try to build it or start building it until we're sure this was what will be built. User testing will bring to light any flaws, which gives UX the chance to iterate on our ideas and sends us back to the interaction design step. Where do we fit in? So let's say this is your process now. If you're not really working with UX people or expert product designers, you have someone tell you what they want. That could be your client, your CEO, someone, a product manager or owner, someone with that vision. And then you build it, you test it, you get it on a server. Then what happens almost every time? Someone sees it and goes, "Oh, you know, now that I see it, I think I want something else." I see some crying, some nodding. Everybody knows how this one goes. You then have to circle back and go, "Okay, now what do you want?" And breathe deeply. And you have to start again. "Okay, what do you want? We'll build it, we'll test it, we'll get it on a server, and eventually you might release it live and hope that you don't end up being written awfully about in every tech blog. And maybe customers will like it. If you can include UX in your process, should look a little bit more like this. That client, product owner, CEO person with vision comes to the UX practitioner or team. Here's the idea. UX then starts cycling through as much of the user-centered design process as we've got the time and money to do, which is usually, hopefully, all of it. And please. And then we can iterate and try to find the best execution of the best idea. We can run it back by the stakeholders, make sure everybody's in, and then we bring it to user testing, which again happens before you guys write a line of code. If we find some flaws, we iterate on it, and finally we can have something that UX can package up, document, and get to engineers to be built. And that goes much better. And if someone changes their mind, they've got to go through me. Now, if someone changes their mind, the good news is UX runs interference, so it's not automatically put in as a developer change order. It should come back to us, especially if they're changing their mind during the UX process, which is a great time to change your mind because we haven't burned any money on engineering yet. The goal is for you to build a fantastic vetted product once. Can you smell that? That is the sweet Guinness smell of not having to keep rebuilding your same thing over and over because somebody keeps changing their mind. So now let's talk briefly about UX and Lean before we get to Agile. Normally I run this as a poll, but we don't have time. So which one is the minimum viable jogging outfit? UX often disagrees with engineers and product managers on how lean do we go? What's the leanest thing we can build and release as an MVP? And non-UX roles often say the first one. I just ran this as a poll a few days ago in Arizona, and I think I got 80% voting for the first one. And you would have too, wouldn't you? Because it's viable, and minus the hat, it's minimal. And UX would say the middle one, because we want something to have enough features to create customer satisfaction. You never get a second chance to make a first impression. This is especially true for the first time your customer installs your app or visits your website. Is this going to be too lean for them to really use or enjoy or get fish hooked on? Remember that you're running the risk that customers think you're bad at this or you build broken things. And if they're turned off by the MVP and beta and they abandon, are they going to reinstall and give you another chance when you've come out with your new version? How often do you give companies second and third chances? That's why the cake is a lie. That's why for UX, the V in MVP stands for valuable. What is the leanest product we can build and release that the customer will still feel has great value? Customers don't care if you're calling it an MVP. They will be super thrilled to super hate it and go out on social media and tell everyone because people love negative attention. Take it from Eric, Mr. Lean. Even if you're not doing lean, he said, what if we found ourselves building something nobody wanted? In that case, what did it matter if we did it on time and on budget? Go too lean and minimal and you might build something nobody wants. Your UX expert can help product and engineering prioritize stories and features to find that balance. Hey, who's ready to talk about UX and Agile? Buckle up. I'm going to use Safe Agile in some of my examples, but please know that everything I tell you should be true for all flavors of Agile, even though a few things are more specific to Safe. And let's face it, they're pretty easy to pick on, I find, as I've been doing these events. Once upon a time, I went for Safe Agile training, 4 days of it in 2014. I have since recovered. But what I found out was that when I asked them where UX fits into Safe, they literally told me, we don't know, and if you figure it out, please tell us. I have tried to tell them, they don't want to talk to me. So I'm out here telling you guys myself. Now, they give UX a little trash recycling icon on the bottom left corner in this orphaned block of stuff that says stuff like milestones and system team. Big whatever. That doesn't tell me what does UX do? Where do we fit in? Are we on agile teams? And when I show this to people, sometimes I get, well, Safe is a joke. But maybe or maybe not, but I have pretty much almost never found agile training, coaching, information books that said, here's who UX is, here's what they do, here's why they do it, and here's how you include them, the details of how you include them in your processes. And of course, if there are any agile trainers or consultants in the room, I'd like to speak with you. Please come to my desk after this. So where does UX fit into agile? First of all, nobody puts UX in the corner. Here's where UX, I'm glad you guys got that movie. Okay, here's where UX really lives. We're here in portfolio land, involved in what we're building, why we're building it, and prioritizing what we're building. We live here, if you're in SAFE, in continuous exploration, that process of continually exploring the market and the user needs, defining that vision, roadmap, and features that will address the user needs. We are all about customer solutions. It's what we live for. We would like to make DevOps better. We want to improve and enhance the culture. We're all about decreasing failure rates, though we're thinking more on the human experience level than on the technical bug level. We want shorter time between fixes, but you know what I really wish for this Christmas? Fewer fixes. Better UX design earlier, fewer fixes later. One UX designer should be on your Agile team. That person represents all of the creative team and can circle back with designers, copywriters, researchers, and others involved in that creative process. Invite your UX person to stand-ups, retros, release planning, any meeting or showcase where UX might be discussed. If something comes up and your UX partner couldn't make it to the meeting, table it until you find that person. Missing a meeting is not an excuse to make a decision in someone else's field of expertise, because you wouldn't want me to do that with your job. So we're all over this thing. People who say UX doesn't fit into Agile or I don't know how usually just don't fully understand what UX does and how we do it, but you're starting to get that now, which will make you the genius hero at your company. I'm sure of it. Capes available in the lobby. So a few more notes on Agile. UX should be part of sprints, but for large or new projects, we're going to need weeks or months of runway ahead of time because of our longer process. If you want engineering to have us build something at kickoff, we must start ahead of everybody else. So we don't have a time machine. You can't be kickoff and have it ready today. I've been at that meeting. It wasn't fun. Please include UX in your iteration planning and understand that depending upon the features or stories, our time and tasks can vary greatly. This could be something we can wireframe or prototype quickly and be done, or it might be something that's going to require research and testing and more of our process. So let UX estimate the time they need so that this can be appropriately planned for. And include us in sprints, remembering we need to stay 2 or more sprints ahead of you. Doesn't that camera icon work? I came up with that. Now everyone's going to do it, but just credit me. Get plenty of tech stories or fixing of debt into the backlog. That way, if UX's creative and cyclical process runs late, devs can truly be agile. Instead of waiting for UX, go switch to some low-hanging fruit that product or engineering has prioritized. The key to the UX process is testing before delivering anything to engineering. That way we're sure we are building a great execution of that right idea for our customers. Research and testing can be a bottleneck, so your company is going to need to hire more of the right people so that there are fewer or no bottlenecks. And I recommend 1 UX architect for up to 3 projects depending upon their size. And if you can budget, oops, sorry, wrong one. 1 UX researcher supporting up to 3 UX architects. If you have what we call a T-shaped UX person like me, who can also subspecialize in research, testing, and other things, then you might not have the UX specialists doing research, but then don't give me so much work because I'm doing more tasks on your other stuff. Okay, now the shameful slide. Let's say your database programmer is a bit of a bottleneck right now. There's so many stories looking for their specialization. What do you do? Well, solutions could include pair programming, creating a skills matrix so that things can be better balanced in the future, maybe allowing more teammates to do exploratory testing so developers get feedback earlier. Maybe you just bring on another developer. But do you know what isn't suggested in this scenario? We don't suggest that the specialized programmer train other people on their specialty. But I read a book about Scrum that warned UX specialists might end up a bottleneck, so get your UX specialist to train everybody on her job. At an event on Tuesday, a business analyst told me, yeah, he's making wireframes because UX is a bottleneck. And I told him to please stop. So let's say I'm your UX teammate, and I studied some basic programming language in the 70s. I know you're all impressed, right? That tells me I've got an eye for coding. I've got a feel for programming. Would you like to teach me some Python because you're a little backed up? How about I go take a 3-day boot camp and then do some coding on the project? That's an eerie silence, people. You're not cheering for this. Somehow I find when I turn it around and it's me doing your job, all of a sudden people don't like that idea. So and it also hurts culture because it's just another moment when UX is being told anybody can do your job. So if you wouldn't do it to your non-UX roles, please don't do it to your UX roles. And remember Agile Manifesto principles. I'm not letting you get away with forgetting those. Principle 1, our highest priority is to satisfy the customer. That means getting valuable, delightful, easy to learn, easy to use, life-improving stuff out to our customers. Principle 5, give motivated individuals the environment and support they need and trust them to get the job done. You have to hire great UX workers and trust them and give them what they need. Principle 9, continuous attention to technical excellence and good design enhances agility. Don't just make it good, make it great. And my favorite, Principle 10, simplicity. The art of maximizing the amount of work not done is essential. When UX kills or changes features, we're often seen as the bad guys, but engineering should support our efforts to create less work for you by creating simpler or fewer features, or by eliminating projects that are wrong for the company or team to undertake. And this is where I normally tell a story about nightmare 6-month project that burned so much of the company's money only to be removed later as clutter, which I had predicted and nobody would listen. So definitely listen to your UX experts, they actually know something. UX is a valuable investment. A company I won't name earlier this year ran into a host of issues when they had to announce that they were going to do a redesign of their most recent redesign. Once the product was released, they found that customers considered the new features clutter, obstacles, and drawbacks. Customers hadn't asked for these features, and they didn't want, need, or like them. The backlash was serious. We don't know who this is just any company. The backlash was serious enough that their company blog had to admit the new version was overcomplicated, lacking simplicity, cluttered, difficult to navigate, and had gone a little too far with some wacky visual design choices. How much did this company spend on all of these concepts, layouts, engineers, and building and testing for multiple platforms? And now the cost to undo and redo. $1 million? More? Think about the time and money this company could have saved if they had pivoted or changed direction before developers wrote a line of code. UX research helps us know the target customers so well that we can tell you ahead of time if something is likely to be the wrong way to go. We can also create rapid UX prototypes of early concepts and run tests on real or archetypal customers to learn if it's likely to be a good match. We can know upfront. There's no longer a good reason or an excuse to just build it, just ship it, and find out later it's a disaster. Companies can save heaps of time, money, staff resources, and customer agony by integrating the full UX process. Your UX department would have known at multiple points that previous unnamed example was overcomplicated, lacking simplicity, cluttered, and difficult to navigate, and a little tough on the eyes. UX specialists should be working hand in hand with product teams early on so that we can block or improve ideas that are unlikely to match the customer. So compare the budget your company might spend on UX, because I hear, oh, we can't afford UX. I go, well, you can't afford not to do UX. You want to end up like those guys in the news? So compare it to having to add more customer service reps because people find the new features frustrating, confusing, disappointing, cluttered, or difficult. How about the cost to throw more money at your social media managers to handle complaints? How about the cost of employees who leave because creating customer dissatisfaction is soul-crushing? That's knowledge out the door, plus the cost to recruit, onboard, and train. How about the cost of increasing marketing spending because this piece of junk is hard to sell, or you're trying to win back customers who left? The cost of having engineering rebuild when customer backlash forces product changes. But we can measure how it's working, because people here like to measure things. So, without customer satisfaction, you might not have customers. If you like quantitative data, we can measure how improving your processes with UX have made positive changes. Let's take a look at customer service, call centers, and social media. Are we getting fewer complaints, better app ratings, higher app ratings, better app reviews, fewer support tickets, fewer call center calls, and more positive semantics of social posts? What about more app installs and fewer app uninstalls? How about people spending more money? I think most companies love when that happens. Higher average order value, or people converting more from becoming tire kickers to customers. And each of these is also measurable. These are some typical DevOps goals. How long do stories, projects, and epics take to get to market before and after your UX revolution? I'd also imagine that developer time estimates become more accurate when developers are working from finalized UX designs rather than stories or descriptions or what you're doing now. And if UX is providing blueprints and those are being followed, then we're hoping engineering has less work by reducing surprise changes and rebuilds. Internal communication and culture are also measurable, but you'll probably have to turn that into some sort of survey because they can end up very qualitative and anecdotal. When you're making organizational and process changes, sometimes things get worse before they get better. So what's the very short version of what could be going wrong? Are we building the right thing? Is product collaborating with UX on what features, ideas, or stories to build? Are we allowing UX to kill or alter? Sorry, that's a tough kill on that one. Are we allowing UX to brutally murder or alter ideas during initial planning and treatments? Is UX being overruled, circumvented, or excluded like I was at almost every job I had in San Francisco and Silicon Valley at companies you would know? Empower and include UX. Don't let others do their specialized job. Make sure you allot time and budget for user testing. This can help you know before developers build if the idea or execution are poor. And how about the quality, experience, and expertise of the UX practitioners you're hiring? Who's doing the UX work? Juniors, artists, non-specialists, non-UX roles? We've got to improve who we hire if we want to improve that user experience. And quickly, tech troubles are perceived as bad UX. I've got a quick poll I want everybody to take, so get out your phones and please go to menti.com. Hopefully it'll load up. I'm going to take this right to the end. And I've got a question. We're going to rate a few things from this doesn't bother the customer at all, to this is so bad that the customer is likely to leave us or consider leaving us. I see some people jumped in early on it because you might have looked at Menti. So let's get some more votes here. I'll give you a few more seconds. I know I've only got a couple of minutes left up here, but please let's get some more votes. Go to menti.com, 88752, and just want to see if we can get a few more votes up there. It's right up at the top, menti.com, 88752. Oh, you guys were out late last night, weren't you? You all look so sad. Well, anyway, as we've got a few more people involved, remember that the first four that you see up here deeply affect the user's experience. And you know this. You're giving them some high ratings that, hey, this could be so bad the customer leaves. Now, the last one is about time and budget, and that's bad for DevOps, but as you all voted, it mostly doesn't have to affect the customer. Maybe the customers have to wait a little bit longer for the next release. But the poll reminds you that you know that poor UX is enough to make customers leave or consider leaving, which means it's important. It's make or break. We need to work smarter and get qualified experts in every step of planning, prioritization, and design, and many of the development steps. And super quickly, once upon a time, people would excuse slow websites and say, this website's good, but it's slow. And now they say, I don't like it because it's slow. So 2019, stop putting off those refactoring and database fixes and server issues that you've been putting off. Time to take care of them. So please take a photo of this. It's got a bunch of URLs on it that I would love for you to track down later. There is a 2-day version of this course. If you liked the 30-minute one, you'll like the 2-day version. If you didn't like the 30-minute one, you're going to really hate the 2-day version. The 2-day version also comes in a handy 6-hour pre-recorded video. That is, yes, my voice for 6 hours, so definitely some extra cream in the coffee. And I'm also doing a couple of live ones online for people who like to see the live versions of things. So again, just check the workshops page for where else you can find me. And I've got a discount code for anybody who wants to do any of the paid versions of anything. So photograph that, check it out later. I'm around all day, and I threw some business cards on the water tables on your way out because I know it's break time. Thank you so much.